Hey everyone, good afternoon. My name is Christy Denny's. I am one of your Miami trainers. We also have Maggie Curiel, who's available inside of the chat for any of your questions. And this class is a fantastic class. It is a prospecting class. It's called Show Me the Money. I do want to make some announcements before we get started. The first one is that this month is Free from Miami month. And that means that we are highlighting that you do have more than 80 realtor products and services that are free for our Miami members. Aside from that, you do have the pay early and save that you want to take advantage of. We have some fantastic incentives. If you're paying before June 8th, you can save up to $800. Now let's go ahead and jump into it. We have a lot of great information in this class in Show Me the Money. To do so, you want to scroll to the middle of your page where you have your Miami Gateway. You want to go ahead and click on that, put in your license and password to reach your Miami Gateway. Inside of our Miami Gateway, we do have the Imap icon, and this class is going to be exploring Imap. So we are going to use this program, so you can go ahead and click on it if you'd like, if you want to follow along. But we do have this class recorded. This isn't the initial Imap class. This is focusing on prospecting, but we do have both of the classes recorded and available for you in Miami Realtor Live. Let me just switch back into the gateway so you can see where that's located. Miami Realtor Live right up here. We also have a YouTube channel. So youtube.com/miamitrainers, and you can find this Show Me the Money class already recorded for you. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do inside of Imap is just kind of see what we have available for us before we get started with some of the examples of how we can prospect. You do have your initial 3 tabs. You can search using a tax search, an MLS search, or a foreclosure search. You also can search throughout the different counties in the state of Florida. Okay, so you have all counties in the state of Florida. You also have different search fields that you can maneuver, search types, and then where you can input search valuations. So you do have the initial searches like owner name. You can prospect using property addresses, a parcel ID, also referred to as the folio number of a property. You can search by subdivision, property zip code, sale date, sale price, building area, year built, or property use. These are the initial tabs that are available, but if I click on the drop down, I do have far more criteria that I can select and swap out, which we'll be doing today. Same thing goes for the MLS search. You do have your initial fields, your search types, and your search valuations. In the MLS search, we are going to do uncover expired listings. When we prospect through Imapp, this is our favorite place to prospect expired listings, which we're going to go ahead and work on shortly. And then we have our foreclosure search. So if you've ever worked foreclosures, if you are interested in dipping your toe into the short sale scene and finding customers who owe money on their mortgages, then we're going to go ahead and jump into this. We're going to start in tax search. And what we want to do is we want to be able to determine if a farming area is a good farming area, right? So that's one of the first things that you want to determine when you are prospecting. How we do that is we determine if there's a good turnover rate in an area. So first I want to show you how you can find a subdivision. So initially you can go into the subdivision area, what the subdivision name starts with. Let's say I'm looking for Lakes of the Meadow. I would go into subdivision. I would click K through L is how it starts. I would re-click that section, and then I'm going to have all of the subdivisions in that area. So I can go ahead and scroll through the subdivisions until I find Lakes of the Meadow. And this is if I already know the name of the subdivision that I'm interested in. I would select it, and I now have the subdivision information. I can find all of those properties in that area or in that neighborhood. I would click on Start Search. Okay, and I have 159 results. And these are all the properties in that area. Now, if I don't know the name of the subdivision or that neighborhood, I just know a property address in that area. Another way of doing this is, let me go back into a new search. Another way of doing this is entering the property address. Okay, so I would enter the property address, scroll down, and click Start Search. Okay, I'm going to have the property address, the property information, and this way I can scroll down to where it says subdivision information towards the middle of the page, and it's Leaks of the Meadow section 1. Okay, that's one of the other ways that you can do it. If you don't want to go through it that way, there's another way that you can still look for a neighborhood or a subdivision. It's using the parcel ID. So right here where you have your parcel ID, you would highlight the first few numbers of your parcel ID, right? Go back into a new search. And if I have that folio number or parcel ID where it says parcel ID, I would just simply paste those numbers, remove the space in the front, and click on Start Search. And this is probably the best way to do it with a parcel ID. And here are all of my results in this neighborhood. So I'm going to go back into refine this search, clicking on refine the search. And these are 3 ways that you can find a neighborhood, which is essentially one of the ways that you can begin prospecting a certain area. So I also mentioned that I want to know the turnover rate in a particular neighborhood because it's very important to know this. If you have a low turnover rate, that means that the neighbors tend to hold on to their inventory. If there's a low inventory amount or there's not enough activity, that could be setting yourself up for low sales. So you want to be able to go to where you do have some activity. In order to do that, what I would do is go to my sales date, greater than or equal to, I'm going to put this time last year. So I'm going to go and compare year over year. And that's going to show me the total sales in the past year in this particular neighborhood. I'm going to start the search. And there is 14 sales in a year, which is not bad. That's an excellent amount. Now, COVID did change things a little bit, right? So it did change up the game. So what we can do is we can create a prediction for how many additional sales we're going to have before we end the year. And in order for us to do that, I can simply go back to my search by clicking on refine the search. And just instead of going back a whole year, let's go back 6 months. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to see how many sales we've had as of yet. We've had 17, and you would take this number, right, and multiply it by 2. And that would give you a prediction of what's to be expected to finish closing by the end of this year in this particular subdivision, which is high, but with the market as hot as it is, it's possible. So this actually would be a pretty good subdivision to work if you are an agent in this section of 33185 is the zip code in this area. So aside from that, this is a great way that you can find turnover information. This is a great way that you can decide if you want to farm a particular neighborhood. Okay, so I'm going to go back into those results by clicking refine this search. So whenever we click refine this search, we're going to go back to our search criteria, and it's going to keep the last search that we did. Now that we know how to find a neighborhood, now that we know how to determine turnover rate, and we also know that this is an area that we'd like to farm, how can we reach these neighbors? I have my initial parcel ID submitted. I'm going to go ahead and click on that start search. And what you have available on this screen is the 160 neighbors in this area. So what you can do is you can view it on a map. Okay, and this is the territory that I'm going to be working on. You also have the ability to download these results. Okay, so if I wanted to contact these homeowners and I wanted to give them a call and I wanted to prospect them, you do have the ability to download different layouts. This is the full tax record. You also have owner address information, owner name and address information. You can do a phone record, a property address information, and summary. So I'm going to focus on the phone numbers because I want to give them a call. I do want to mention that the phone numbers that are going to be available are phone lines. Not a lot of people have phone lines anymore. Another option for contact information is a program called Remind, but let's check out this neighborhood and see how many numbers I can get. So clicking on download, it's going to give me a spreadsheet. I have my Excel right here on the side. I'm going to go ahead and open that information. And you can see I have the owner's name, the address, and right to the right hand side, I have these phone numbers. So I don't have all of them, but I have quite a few here. And that's going to give me the option to select who I'd like to target. So I can target the occupant of the property. You also have the option to customize. So I can click on the drop down menu and I can do current resident, which gives you the best results because if it's owner and the owner doesn't live there, it could possibly return. You could have that letter returned. So you do have different customizations though. You have postal customer, resident, homeowner, new neighbor, right? Residential occupant. I like this one actually. Future homeowner is great for people that are renting that space. So I can select current resident, for example. I do have different Avery templates that I can select. So whatever I bought at the store, you should have the option here. Scrolling down, you have generate label in PDF format. It loads it to the computer. I open it up and I'm going to go ahead and have those labels already made for me. I can print them out. I can send them my marketing material and I can prospect to them. So again, we can do quite a lot to reach these neighbors. Now that we know how to reach our neighbors and how to contact them, let's go ahead and go back to the initial search. And let's go ahead and try different examples of how we can prospect, or I guess better said, how we can refine the list based on the kind of messaging that we want to use when contacting these neighbors. So let's say that I want to contact homeowners that are occupying their property, right? So they bought the property, they have their homestead exemption because they live there. What I would do is I would select any one of the ones that I'm not currently using, and I would look for owner occupied. Okay, so I switched over that filter to say owner occupied, and then I'm going to say yes. So inside of my neighborhood that I'm farming, I want to look for properties where the owner lives there, right? That's who I want to target. I'm going to click start. And now I have 141 results. And this means that when I either download my results, create my mailing labels, or send out my marketing material, I know that I'm going to be sending it to the owner of that property. Now, let's say I want to contact investors instead, right? So I want to contact people who are necessarily not living in their property because they have it rented out to somebody else. What I would do is I would refine this search. And simple as pie, I don't have to change owner occupied. I can simply, instead of having it equal to yes, I'm going to have it equal to no. And that means I'm going to get, when I start my search, somebody else is living in this home, right? So they might have it rented out, and it could be that they are investing, right? So this is an investor home that they have. Now, let's say I wanted to further refine my message and I just want to speak to people who are investors, but also don't even live in Florida, right? And maybe they don't know how hot the market is right now. Maybe they don't want to continue to pay a company to maintain their property. This is a great time to get top dollar for your home. So how do I do that? I go back into refine this search. So I can continue to refine down my message. I'm going to select a different filter. You have owner is Florida resident is another option, equals to, and then I'm going to say no. Okay, so not only do they not live in that home, they also don't live in the state. And then I'm going to start my search. So in this neighborhood, there's 3 people that don't live in the state. Okay, going back to refine my search. We've done quite a lot of examples with very little manipulation of the screen and 3 different um, 3 different examples of who you can prospect. Actually, another one that we can do, let me not use this one. Okay, so when I say owner occupied and we say no, we were going to initially speak to the owner because we're interested in speaking to them about selling their home. Let's say you wanted to do a campaign targeting the person who's renting that property. So rental prices are pretty high. Um, let's say they were interested in buying, right? I can go ahead and target those future homeowners with the same selection. I click on start. These 19 people, when I go ahead and create that mailing label, I would click on occupant. And then it's going to show me this error. But to fix that, I would just put that current resident. So the current resident is going to get that mailing, and I'm able to target that renter. So initially, if you wanted to target the owner of the property, you would simply click on owner address. Okay. And it would go to the owner's address instead of the property address. And that you can do just by updating your options in your mail out. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, so I'm going to click on refine the search and let me think of another example that we can do. I wanted to do an example of targeting property owners who have not paid their taxes. Okay, so let's say I want to target these people. They're just a little behind on not paying their taxes, and reach out, see if they are interested in maybe selling that home. So what I would do is I would use a different filter. So I'm going to remove this one. So it's just down to that neighborhood that we're working on. I'd go towards the bottom, and the filter that I'm going to look for is something called taxes are delinquent. So I'm going to scroll down. You see the filter here. I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to simply say yes. Okay. And then I'm going to click on start search. And we have 2 persons inside of this neighborhood who are delinquent on their taxes. Okay, and this is another message that you can do, another prospecting idea that you can do in order for you to be able to receive a response. So now when we market, we no longer want to just do a blanket of advertising to everyone, sending them the same thing. We want to be able to go ahead and refine our searches so that the messaging that we sent this customer is something that they might be interested in. If the messaging is more closely related to what it is that they're looking for during their journey, whether they're selling or interested in buying, the more likely you are to receive a response from those customers. So now that we know basically all of the all of our neighbors' business in this neighborhood, let's take you to opportunity zones and see what that looks like. Okay, so what are opportunity zones? Opportunity zones are basically, they're an area and the government offers incentives to people who are interested in investing in these properties. And some of those incentives to these investors is that they can go ahead and defer their property taxes when they invest in these particular zones. And we do have a filter for that. So if you scroll down, it is called a opportunity zone. Here it is. Opportunity zone equals to, and you can select yes, an opportunity zone, any type. Okay, and then I can work if I'd like in a particular city. So I can search based on property city, property state, property zip code. Okay, so let's say I wanted to do the city of Miami. And then I simply click on start search. I have more than 5,000 results of different properties that are inside of a property zone that would offer additional incentives to investors who are interested in purchasing property. Okay. You can simply click on that property to verify that information. You can scroll to the middle where it says value information, and you're going to see that there's this yellow tag that says located in a property zone. If I click on it, it's going to take me to this website, Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, Opportunity Zone Program, and it'll give you all of the details of the benefits regarding opportunity zones with additional resources and further information. So if you're interested in this, by all means, it could be a service that you offer if you're working with investors. I'm going to go ahead and just paste that link into the chat if you're interested in reviewing it after the class. Okay, moving back into our search. To begin a new search, I would simply click on New Search. And let's continue to refine or search for different ways that we can prospect. Now that we found out about opportunity zones, let's say that I want to target investors who own multifamily homes, since I'm working with investors, and we're looking for multifamily homes that have more than 10 units, right? So I want to look for some pricey property. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select a zip code. So I'm going to find the property zip code equals to section, and I'm going to put the zip code that I'm interested in. Let's say I'm interested in 33135. I'm going to put that in. And my next step would be to use the property use filter. I would go down to the bottom where it says property use code. And what I would do is I would click on the options, and you do have different options that you can check off, right? So if you're interested in looking at vacant resident property, single family homes, mobile homes, you have them here. But what I'm interested in is the multifamily unit with 10 or more units inside. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to start my search. And this way, again, if I wanted to work with investors who have a very large investment of a multifamily home with more than 10 units, I can go ahead and contact these people, send them my marketing information, and make sure that that they know that I specialize in this type of real estate. So whenever you are working with investors, whenever you are working with commercial property, you do want to have that guidance of a person that has some experience in commercial, that's done it before, so that they can help you, right? We don't want to do something that we don't know how to do. Going back into this search, let's go ahead and continue to refine it. So I'm going to click on refine this search. And let's explore other types. Okay, so down here under property use code, we saw that we have multi-families, but you can do condominiums, you can do co-ops, retirement homes is another option that you can view. Vacant commercial property, stores, professional office buildings, restaurants. They go into detail regarding all of these different property use codes inside of a class that we have available for you guys. It's a commercial class, so you can look up this class. It's called Commercial MLS and Imap. For more information, I believe the third week of this month, we're going to be focusing on commercial classes. So if that's something you want to dip your toe in, by all means. Okay, you have nurseries, drive-in theaters, bars and lounges. Let's click on bars, lounges, and nightclubs, which took a hard hit during COVID. See if we have anything available. Let's change it to city. Okay, let's say I'm going to put in Miami Beach. Click on start search. And if I want to contact any of these providers, I can do so. And possibly they could be ready to maybe make a different investment, maybe sell what they have, because we took a hard hit with COVID. Okay, so that's another option that you have to prospect and farm using Imapp. Let's go back and let's say we want to corner a condo building. So condos have changed. The city of Miami had up to 13 months of inventory last year, just in November. So it was a saturated market of condos. We had so much inventory. And because the market is so hot, it has actually significantly changed. Our market is now a balanced market in Miami-Dade. We only have, well, it's still high, but we have 7 months of inventory. So it's a balanced market. If these owners of these condos were looking for a time to sell that condo, this would be a perfect time. Also, prices in condos are up almost 30%, so 29%. So this is a great way that you can target and send this messaging to a particular building. If you want to find a building, you can go to the property address and just type in the main building address, and it will pull up for you all of the different units. So I'm going to put in 50 Biscayne, and then I'm going to start my search. And I have all of my units inside of this building. So when you get these results, before you send out any mailers, before you start prospecting to any of these people, I do want to point out that you have these little flags, right? So you want to make sure that anything that's already active, which is a green flag, is out. So you do have this drop down menu right in the middle. And I'm going to sort it by status. So I'm going to click on MLS status ascending, and that's going to bring all of the active listings in this building up at the top. Same thing for when we were looking at the subdivision information. Same thing for whenever you're going to do results. Use that MLS status to make sure that you're not prospecting to active or pending properties. So we can see that there are quite a few active listings in this building. We have 49. But even if we deselect these 49 listings, which is simply done, you just go and uncheck one by one. There's quite a lot. I'm not going to do them all, but you would uncheck all of these active listings. Scroll back to the top. When you're done deselecting anything that's active, you use this button in the middle that says commit changes. And what the system will do is it will remove it from your campaigning list. Okay, commit changes, and it removes them. It grays out, and then you're able to download your results, create your mailing labels, refine your search, and corner this possible building. Now that we know a little bit about how to corner a building, let's go ahead and refine this search and work on the different messages that we can send to the tenants or the owners of condos inside of 50 Biscayne. So let's say we want to target people who purchased a property back in 2011. We would go ahead and create a range in the system. So you have this section that says sales date. Okay, so I would do to sales date because I'm going to create a range. And the first one's going to say sales date greater than or equal to. And then I'm going to put the date that I want to start my search. So let's say I'm going to put January 1st, 2011. And then I'm going to do sales date less than or equal to. So I'm going to change this to less than or equal to, and then I'm going to input the ending of the range. Okay, and that's going to pull up any properties that were purchased during that time. And I'm going to click Start Search. We would click, look for that MLS Ascending button, see if there's anything already listed. I would go ahead and remove those, commit those changes. And now I have the other units that I'm able to contact. I have 15 Biscayne Boulevard. I have the information of the owner, and I have that they purchased for $314. Okay, so initially I can see that right here. If I am to click on it, okay, I can see the initial information about this property, right? And on the right-hand side, they have something called Find Comparables, right? So I can click on here. I have the last sales price right over here up at the top. And then I also have a projected sales price. If I can change this section to in the same subdivision. Okay. I'm going to update the criteria. So I know that a projected price is anywhere between 333,500 to 471,300 with a median price of 405,000 based on value ratio. You also have a estimated range based on the price per square feet, which is significantly higher than what they purchased it for. Right. And with the market being so fantastic, being that condos are up, that this is a great range that you can use to contact these people that might be interested in making some money from their condo. Maybe they want to move into, I would say, single family home, but single family home prices are up as well. So now that we know how to create a range and we have yet another idea of how we can prospect, let's see if they, now that we know how we can find if they have some kind of equity in that property, I guess we can do another range. So I'm going to go back to my initial search. Okay, type in 50 Biscayne and practice doing the range once again. So we're going to do sales date greater than or equal to, and instead let's do a range of maybe 2004 to 2005, right? Where interest rates were very high at that time. And then I can search that range, and maybe instead of doing a particular building, I can do a zip code, a subdivision as another example. Okay, so I would put the initial date. Okay, I would tie up my range. I would change this one so that it is less than or equal to. Here we go. Let's do the city of Miami. And we have quite a lot of properties that were purchased during that time. So you can even go down and maybe use a particular subdivision like I explained, or use a particular zip code. So I guess the takeaway there is the idea of the range of being 2004 to 2005. Those are some of the examples that you can use to prospect. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We were using the tax search inside of Imapp. There is so many different options that you can do. Those are just some of the ones that I wanted to share with you today. We also learned how to go ahead and create those mailing labels, how to get phone numbers. Let me jump into the MLS search. Normally, all of your searching will be done, either on Matrix or Remind, or if you're a Rapatoni user. But MLS search inside of Imapp does have a special feature, and it is the expireds. So you should be using expireds. I think it's a great way to generate business. So to find that expired filter, the selection that we're going to make is the listing status equals to, and we're going to go ahead and find expired. And then let's pick a zip code. And the zip code that we're going to do can be 33175. Okay, and I'm going to click on Start Search. Okay, we have 2023 results, quite a lot of expired listings inside of that zip code. Now, if I search it this way, I have no idea if some of these properties went back on the market. So there's another search that you can do that's even better, but I wanted to show you the difference. So instead of just using the expired status, you want to go ahead and go back. So let's refine the search. And instead of just using status expired, a better option is expired not relisted. Okay, so the system is going to give you only property that had expired but was not placed again on the MLS. And that's what makes this search a little bit more special, or a lot more special than the one that you can pull in Matrix. Okay, let me start that search. And here you are confident in knowing that these properties have not been relisted. So you're comfortable in contacting these persons. So that means that you won't even have to sort by MLS status because they're all going to be expired. Okay, so this is a great way that you can do your expired. If you're going to do an expired campaign, we always recommend that you do it through Imapp so you don't get into any trouble with another agent who has already listed the property. You only want to prospect to property owners who are not currently active or pending on the MLS. To wrap up this class, I'm going to click on New Search, and our last option is the foreclosure search. So if you're interested in foreclosures, this is a great option for you. Normally what happens with foreclosures is agents can offer short sale opportunities. Again, short sale opportunities similar to commercial, not that it's the same practice, but you do want guidance, you do want a mentorship and assistance. If you've never practiced that type of real estate before, it's significantly different from just the regular residential real estate transaction. In foreclosures, you will be communicating with the bank as well. Okay, so some of the options that we can do. Let's start with selecting a zip code. Okay, let's say that the zip code that I'm interested in is an address in Doral or an area in Doral. I'm going to use a particular property type. Let's say the property type that I'm interested in is the single family home. There we go. Property use code and I'm going to check off single family home. Okay, so now I have my zip code, I have the type of property that I'm interested in researching, and I can go ahead and select list pendants. Yes, and that is the initial letter that you do receive. Click on start search, and I do have 64 results. Okay, so I would, of course, sort my results. MLS status. Okay, so anything that is yellow, yellow or green, I don't want to contact. I don't see any of those here. So these are available for you to contact. Okay, so in this, when working with this, you do want to be sensitive to their situation. They are in a financial hardship, but you do have access to that information. You can verify to see if they owe money to their initial bank, right? The mortgage, or verify to see if maybe they are owing money to the HOA. Either way, you do want to have insight when speaking to these homeowners, and you can do so simply by looking at plaintiff. So you can see that this first case, the homeowner owes money to Wells Fargo. You can see the defendant's information. These are the homeowners of that building, of that property. You can look down, you can see SunTrust Bank, liquid assets acquisitions, and you can kind of see additional information regarding each of these properties. Okay, so if this is something that you're interested in, this is a great way to begin. You can click on case number, any of the ones, and you'll have those foreclosure details available for you right in the middle. You'll have the case number, the plaintiff information. If there's an attorney involved, you would see it below. You have the information regarding the defendants and everyone who is listed. Okay, returning to the foreclosure information, you have this here, and I meant to click on the court website. And if I click on the court website, it is going to bring me over into this website where I can research additional information, right? So this is a great way for you to be able to view information regarding foreclosures, prospect, and create that messaging to these persons if that is something that you work on. So that basically brings us to the end of our class. I hope that you enjoyed it. And I hope that you have new ideas of how you can prospect and find customers. Imapp is a fantastic tool. There's so many ideas that you can do, so many different combinations of filters that you can create. I just wanted to share a few with you. If you have any questions for me, you can send me an email at christy@miamire.com. Thank you for being a Miami member. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.